So I can probably go perfect. I can go for like another hour and then
That's
I'll
perfect.
have to get off.
No,
But
you're
this is
fine.
perfect.
Or
Great.
whatever
Thank
is
you so
comfortable for
much.
you, we're good. So I'm really, really,
Mm.
really blessed and super grateful to have an amazing person on our podcast today, Saule from Lithuania. And Saule, I just want to give a really brief introduction and then we can let you go in and talk. But number one, you have the most angelic voice I think I've ever heard in my life. I saw a YouTube podcast that you did and it literally melted me, like it just melted me right to the core of my soul. And you have been given such an amazing gift of so many different things, which we're going to talk about today. The goal of the podcast for anybody watching is to introduce you to Soleil, introduce you to her channel. You need to get on her YouTube channel and check out her videos. And Soleil, this is going to be an ongoing podcast because we have so many things that were sort of synergistic with what we're doing, the
Mhm.
water, the mysticism of water, the benefits of water. We were talking earlier about mudras and sign language, and we're talking about the Great Awakening, right? The Great Awakening that's coming to our planet. That so many people, everybody literally takes a part in that at some level. But I really feel like my obligation and duty of having a YouTube channel is to get people like you on this channel to showcase your gifts, your knowledge, your skills. And with that being said, welcome to our podcast.
Wow. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. And it's such an honor to be here and such an honor to share with anyone listening. I fully trust and believe that whoever is seeing this, whoever is meant to see this, is divinely aligned to receive the codes and the transmissions and the words and everything that we're sharing here verbally, non-verbally, energetically. So, there's no such thing as coincidences. So,
God, can you put your mic a little closer?
oh yeah, okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, of course. I mean, like,
Okay,
and I
great.
told everybody, if anybody is
Mm-hmm.
this video, you've already seen like that 15 or 20-second clip, which is the first clip I saw with you singing. And why don't we just start there? Where did that, like, that was 11/11, right? Like, that was, and I was looking at that going, there's no script here. Like, this is all just naturally flowing right through you. And it literally, like, if anybody's been to heaven and back, you've heard that music. That was heavenly music. Like that was so beautiful. Do you want to, like, as long as we're starting off, let's talk about, how you prepared and kind of how that we talked about maybe some of the knowledge or some of the skill come through being channeled, but that was like out of
Mm.
this world amazing.
Thank you so much. And that was on actually January 11th, so 111 on that powerful portal day. And I felt the energy moving very my body. And I, for me, my healing is to sing. Like for me, singing is my greatest medicine. Music is my medicine. And I have come into this life knowing that. I've gone through a very deep shamanic initiation with my voice that came after years of doing very intensive inner work and healing traumas on a very deep level, on an interdimensional level, past life level, present life. And so it actually happened very interestingly that I had a very marked change in my voice because I've always been a singer my whole life and I was classically trained and went to college for musical theater and I started having my spiritual awakening in 2020 and then in 2021 well my awakening has kind of been going on my whole life but it really picked up in 2020 very very like three times triple speed. And in 2021, I was living in a van in San Diego and I got really sick.
Where I'm
Just,
from. We'll talk about that later, but
yeah,
keep going.
yeah, a lot to say about San Diego. The energy there is wild. I was in Ocean Beach as well, so of all places, of all portals to be in at the time, And I got very sick, very ill for a couple days, and um, I had a fever. My throat was completely like closed up, and I was, going through it. And then I came out on the third day, and I went with my friend to the ocean because he tells me how he likes to sing to the sea. So we went, and I started singing, and I started channeling, and I realized that my voice had a completely different vibration. I had a different sound, and I started to feel it working in my body. And from then on, like, I couldn't stop singing. I mean, I've been singing my whole life. Like, singing is my favorite thing. And from then on, I felt so much deeper like this. I had to do this. This was my purpose. I had to share my voice. And a couple months after that, I went to Mexico, to Oaxaca. Had some very deep initiations there with the land. And within a couple months of being there, I met a sound healer, an indigenous shaman, and has been a sound healer for 30 years. And he started teaching me the traditions, the ways of, the Zapotec people, and we started working together. So collaborating with my singing and him playing the sound bowls and his didgeridoo that he makes out of the maguey plant, the agave plant. And so for a couple of years, we have been collaborating and traveling around Mexico and sharing. So I've gotten a really unique and amazing opportunity to do this a lot. And most of it has been offline. So now I really just felt this calling recently to, I mean, I felt this calling for a little while, but I started acting on it recently to start putting it digitally and start sharing more online. Because I've been also recording music for a couple of years now and sharing it and posting it. And but now I just feel so aligned and so called to share these healings and these sound healings with my voice because it's equally as healing for me too. And on this particular 111 portal we had just a couple days ago, like less than a week ago, um, I I felt called by the the Magdalens, the Christ consciousness beings. On that particular day, I received a beautiful activation, and they were telling me that I had to do this. So I set up my camera the best I could. It was very late at night, and I was very tired, but I just felt that I had to hold this ceremony with them and allow them to come through and seed and plant this activation that was coming through the grids. So it's like a multi-dimensional service experience that we're constantly doing. And when you're a light worker and when you commit yourself to being a light worker, you pretty much give up your free will in some ways to serve the light, and it's so deeply enjoyable all at the same time. So this was a really beautiful experience for me, and I'm so grateful that it's resonated with people and people have gotten to see it and receive it and feel it.
I mean, all I can say it, it's moving. It's so moving in so many different ways. You really can't even like there's a point in time where adjectives are not sufficient when it goes beyond words because it becomes feelings and it's so deep. And when you talk about healing and all these different things, I can feel it like literally pulling emotional stuff out of me. And I'm not a mushy guy per se. Like I don't really like to talk about, that's not a masculine thing, but like it's like it when I say it literally melted me, I almost was like I was like I'm home, like this is not like this is well beyond the beyond. And like you said when we started off the call, if you found the video, in reality the video found you, because being turned on to you and being turned on to your gifts means that it's time for you to get this knowledge, to be able to hear this amazing music And it begins and it starts that cleansing process and that purification process and that enlightening process and all these different things that are necessary for our spiritual evolution. And so I was so grateful when I reached out to you that you responded back because, a lot of times it's like, sometimes I won't hear back from people, and I understand because maybe timing's not right, or maybe, it's just not within their vibration. But like I said to people, like I've said to you before we started, this is going to be an ongoing series. So this is really your platform here to share and present any additional information, knowledge, singing. We're going to put the song on the full video. So I didn't want to put it on first because I felt it would be best to introduce you and meet you. And we did put some clips in the beginning, which will be at the start of this, and then we'll put clips at the back. But I want people to be able to listen to that full video. And I feel like that's something that you should listen to every day. Like I feel like that is something that every single day is something that should be listened to. And I'm super excited to see and follow you now and see what else could possibly also be coming with that. I do like the fact, like you said, that that was the Christ consciousness, and there was an aspect about water which you also presented in that. Do you want to talk a little bit about the water and how that interacts with what you do and the power of water and how that's kind of part of your part of your background of what you incorporate in with your singing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful question. And also because the guitar track that I used for that video comes from another amazing musician on YouTube. Diana Lopez, I think is her name. I tagged her in my video description, but she created this guitar healing soundtrack that was connected with the river frequencies. And whenever I listen to her music, I just naturally start to channel and sing. And I feel like it was a very, it was a co-creation in this really beautiful way with the river frequency, her playing, because she's so beautifully divinely connected as well, that it's evident in the music. And then being able to add the voice on top of that just kind of created this fusion of energies. And so it's so I'm so grateful that it came together in this way and was able to be impactful and find the people that it's meant to find. And water is so powerful and so relevant, especially now. This is a very powerful time when the waters are awakening on our planet. And water is a being. It's a consciousness in itself, as are all the elements, actually. I'm sure we know that Earth is a living being. We understand this, she's a living being, and when something is out of balance on her body, like in our own physical body, we will get a fever or we'll have a rash or we'll have a physical reaction when something needs to be rebalanced in our body. And so the earth is this, the water is this, the air is such a powerful elemental being as well, the fire. Some of my friends, they commune with the fire, they speak with the fire, they speak with these elementals. And for me, I feel very connected as well with water, with the living spirit of water. And when we begin to tune into water consciousness, realizing that, of course, we are mostly water, our body is mostly water. And this air that we're inhaling and exhaling is also water. This universe we're living in is water. And it's a very deeply sacred concept that we begin to, I feel like I've only just barely started scraping the surface on how deep it goes, because it's a consciousness that when you tune into it and you tune into the ultimate fluidity of life and the nature of life as water, you can come back into unity consciousness, because the waters in your body can come back into unity. And when you work with the waters of your body very consciously, and in the water that you drink, in the words that you speak to your water. So I always say to my water, like, thank you, I love you, like, thank you, miracle healing water. Thank you for healing my body, my spirit, my mind. Thank you for releasing the toxins from my body. And it's so deeply supportive, especially as we're going through this entire body cellular emotional process of ascension, because when we are getting these solar energies, solar rays, solar activations, the Schumann resonance is spiking, and we're essentially vibrating the waters in our body, like when we're going into a healing bed, or a healing technology. Something is vibrating the waters in our body when we listen to frequencies. Our the body, the water of our body is responding to the frequency. It's vibrating according to the frequency. That's how frequency healing works, essentially. That's how sound healing works. And My teacher in Mexico also has a really amazing instrument that shows this, how when he plays it, it shows how the droplets of water, they will react to the frequency and move and dance. And this is essentially what happens in our bodies. So we could even say that every illness, every trauma, every stress is frozen water in our body. Every trapped emotion is this frozen water. And when we begin to move that water and move from a place of stagnancy into a place of flow, it starts to move in a really powerful way. And the concept of living water, the spring water, the flowing water, the ocean water, this state of just majestic, pure consciousness in a sense. It's such a beautiful thing to connect to. Like, I personally live near a river, so every day I like to walk by the river and just stare into it and feel it washing away my problems and whatever I'm struggling with. So having access to abundant water is a true blessing. And of course, now what we're going through on Earth is that a lot of people don't have access to abundant water, which is also a growing problem. And in my experience as well, drinking, a high quality, living, structured water, I felt the cellular change happening from within through drinking Kangen water, which is electrolyzed living water that has an extra hydrogen molecule. So it is hexagonally shaped and it actually enters into your cells. So your cells experience hydration, which is something that we normally don't get to experience unless we're drinking like pure living spring water, which is hard to come by in this day of age because unfortunately our earth and our waters have been so polluted and so toxified, and exactly for the purpose to keep us from awakening to this consciousness.
So beautiful. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Misaru Emoto.
Oh, yes.
Because when you're talking about that, I'm like, you are literally like, and for anybody who doesn't know, Emoto proves scientifically
Hmm.
that your thoughts could literally change the molecular structure of water. And so when you say something like, thank you, I love you, water, you literally can change the water molecule into the most beautiful snowflake, and vice versa. If you're
Yeah.
negative and you're putting out negative energy, you can literally take that molecule of water and turn it into a blob. And Emoto literally proved in a lab that your thought process and your blessing the water literally changes the molecular structure, which is incredibly powerful, being that we are, like you said, mainly composed of water. And we've been able to, by God's blessing, have many indigenous people and others that literally worship water and talk to the lakes and talk to the rivers
Mm,
as living entities. And in
yes.
indigenous culture, when they were getting ready to make decisions, they would go to the tree elder, or they would go to the lake
Mm,
elder, or they would go to the river elder, and they would literally communicate with that entity and say, what is the best thing for us to do? And so part of the whole thing is the evolution of understanding the environment around us, that we are dealing with conscious living entities all around us. And the trees, they're all living beings. They put off an energy field, which is a plasma energy field, and we're also putting off that field. Being in nature is literally putting all these energies back into the body and building that aura, or that regeneration of our soul, literally charging us from the soul up. And so it's
Mm.
so beautiful that you incorporate all that, because it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to make it your living reality, right? And so
Yeah.
we can talk about how these things are all, possible, and that they're realistic and they're proven. But until you incorporate that into your living reality and start doing exactly what you're doing, which is blessing the water and thanking the water on every drink of water. And the Kagan technology is super cutting edge technology. I mean, that water,
Mm.
the Japanese, I believe, if I'm correct, came up
Yeah.
with the concept. They've been using it now in Japan for 30 years. They use it in their hospitals. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's interested in that, and Soleil, it's up to you. But I can
Mm-hmm.
provide people your email address if anybody's interested,
Yeah.
because not only can you get access to this water, you can help support Soleil with music and all the dreams and things that you want to come
Mm.
true. So that is a really
Thank
great
you.
segue into the water, and then getting pure, some of the best quality water that we can actually get on the planet Earth is coming from Kagan. And with that being said, I won't get too far into that. That you can provide that information. It's well documented. But for anybody that's interested in that wants to reach out to you, I will put your email address down in the description. Now, even though it's not on the video right now, your YouTube address is going to be right here at the bottom. And
Mm.
I want everybody watching this video to go to her channel. The beautiful thing about the music video is that just is a very small segment of all this beautiful information and songs and knowledge that you've got on this channel. This is an amazing channel with so
Thank
much great
you.
information. I mean, like, it's ready for the world to, to say, okay, it's time. It's time for you now to start this journey where you have hundreds of millions of people that are following you, that are listening to you, and you're bestowed with that great blessing and responsibility now, where it's like,
Mm.
here we go. It's like it's kind of a little bit of both, right? Because now all of a sudden you've got hundreds of millions of people, if not billions of people. And so it changes a little bit of your lifestyle, but really that's why you're here. That's kind of what your path is, and that's where this whole thing is going. I'd like to talk to you about, like, we talked about one of the videos that you've got where you're doing a lot of the mudras, and it's
Mm.
very magical. I mean, it's like very spiritually, in a very spiritual way, very magical. And I was looking at that, I'm going, like, this is like, I can feel that I'm getting some sort of download from watching this video. Can you talk a little bit about that video and kind of how that came about, and a little bit of the background of that video? Because we shared a little bit before the call, but I'd like you to go back in for the audience.
Yeah, I love talking about this. Because it's like every one of us has this ability to connect to our higher senses, to like intergalactic beings, extraterrestrials. I call them our star family. So connecting to the part of us that is innately, knowing of all these things. And, I've been very honored to be able to connect in this way with such benevolent, loving beings who have supported me so deeply on my journey. So, throughout my whole awakening process, I've had this connection with them, and they've supported me in the physical aspects of the ascension, the emotional, like being taken to interdimensional med beds as well, like what you guys do, in the galactic realms, like in the energy realms. So like astrally traveling to these Arcturian healing chambers through meditations and things like this, where they've done amazing energy work on me and really helped. And I'm truly so grateful to all the beings who have facilitated these connections as well. And it's important for us to remember that this is accessible to every single one of us. Every single one of us is being supported by these higher powers, by these higher dimensional powers and beings who are looking out for us. So essentially, when I'm doing the light language and I'm channeling, I am just opening myself up to my higher self, to spirit, to work for the greatest healing and highest good of all beings. That is always my intention. And it's like you said, it's all about responsibility and being a safe container for this energy and wisdom to come through. And you have to show God that you're ready through going through initiations. And I've been massively initiated in so many ways and so many times. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Um, but just through that path of purifying your body, mind, and soul and spirit, you you get access, you get given these gifts and these abilities to which are ultimately meant to help others and to be of service. So when I'm channeling light language, I pretty much set an intention for what we're healing, what we're working with. I open myself up to my higher self, to my higher dimensional aspects, and just let go and flow. And like I'm still conscious in my body, but my hands are doing something, my voice, my words, and as long as I'm not limiting myself by questioning it, then it just allows itself to flow through. And I started realizing I could do this a couple years ago, back in 2022, and started little by little sharing it. And then at a certain time, there was like a strong calling and strong message to be sharing this, to be activating people, to use it as a healing technology because I'm an energy healer as well. So I do sessions one to one with people. And I was noticing how with the light language, it was more powerful than Reiki, which I had been doing up until then. And it was a lot quicker. So obviously it depends on the person as well, because for some people, Reiki is what exactly what they need in that moment. They need something that will meet them where they're at on their level and like where as much as they're ready to comprehend at this time. And then some people, especially those who have a galactic lineage and have a galactic purpose and you know this they're ready to be initiated to this. I will like intuitively understand that it's good to speak light language with them, and then they'll report miraculous healings of things happening so quickly and so deeply and so intensely. And it's essentially the same technology of frequency healing. Our voice creates the frequency, and it's working on a level that goes past the mind, the conscious mind, the barriers, the limitations, because we're not using language that is coded with things that are here to trip us up, like the English language, the Latin-based languages. They have like a little bit of they can have some distortions around it. And so when we use languages that are purely of light and we channel these languages that are like purely light frequency, they can work in ways that are not fathomable to our minds, that we can't fully understand. And I just know that it's based in love, and I know that what I'm channeling is love, and it works for people. So it's hard for me to exactly, very exactly or scientifically say, but it's just purely intuition and channeling. And I trust myself to be that container of love and taken through a long process of cultivation and initiation of being able to handle that responsibility, so to speak.
I love that. Yeah, that is so beautiful. And you touch on some really good points, but the thing is that there is a point where it goes beyond words, right? And it's all through feelings, and it goes to a deeper, higher level. Like words can only get you so far with communication, but once you break beyond that, it gets much deeper, and it gets into feelings, and ultimately it's the power of love, the most powerful frequency in the universe. The frequency that controls is the controlling principle of everything else that moves, breathes, and is the 432 hertz loving frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're radiating that frequency and giving it to people, it's a feeling. And another thing that's really beautiful too is that you talk about astral projection, and we would also get into maybe things like lucid dreaming, which is similar. But ultimately, medbed technology is all about raising your frequency so that you can reconnect with these with all these spiritual abilities that we have as spiritual beings. These are all things that should come naturally to us. You know, me being able to communicate with you telepathically, that was something that at one point we all have the ability to do that. We've lost that because of the words and because of, you know, the breakdown in
Yes.
different things, right? It's grounded us back into a third dimensional reality instead of our spiritual reality, which is really, you know, where we really are. And so, you know, many times on the calls, I'll say we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we need to just
Mm-hmm.
shift and pivot back to that reality. And so,
Yeah.
you know, when you can tie into understanding that these things are all possible, they're all within us, and you break out of the box of reality of what you think is possible. That's the first step. The first step is breaking the calculator and stop trying to figure everything out and embrace this, you know, this beautiful gift that we've been given and that people like you are giving to the world, because through that sound frequency and through the singing and through all these different things you're providing, it naturally comes to you. Like there's no efforting that's involved. It's you don't have to go do anything except just relax into your infinite nature and just be and go back to that place where we all are from. And I'm doing some really amazing podcasts on a with a gentleman out of Brazil. He's from the States, but he's living in Brazil. He goes by David the Indian, which is through another channeling personality that comes through him. But
Mm.
you know what we all talk about is when we get to that point zero zero absolute, which is that point within us that is the loving person or the loving spirit. Everything and everything
Yeah.
calibrates and readjusts to where it needs to be. The homeostasis of the body goes back to perfection, right? And
Yes.
everything and anything is then possible at that point if we can just get to that point of stillness within our heart and be able to recalibrate and say, wow, man,
Mm.
this is really where it all begins. So the funny thing is, Soleil, is that many times we talk about technology, but it always spins back to our natural God-given abilities and who we are as spiritual beings. Because when we tap into that, the technology, number one, is secondary, and the technology many times isn't necessary. Now, you know, maybe to charge the body up and live another 10 years, okay, I could see that. But for people that think that they need that and that is like their core, you know, goal, it's so much deeper and so much broader. And the goal is to use that technology to elevate your consciousness and your frequency so you can tap into collective consciousness, so you can tap into Akashic records, so you can become more intuitive, so you can be more have more empathy and to be more kind and loving and compassionate and all these beautiful things. That's really what this technology is about. Healing and fixing third dimensional bodily issues, no problem. That's a great starting point. There's certainly a need for that, and that is coming. But please do not look at that as such a limiting piece of what this is all about. This is all about, you know, going into that place where you have entered into, where that is part of your normal living reality, and that, you know, you're living at a much higher frequency and being able to share all these amazing gifts with all of us as we all evolve. I mean, as we're all evolving. So, you know, that's really, you know, in addition to all that's really one of the core messages that I think is really important with introducing you and getting you out on more and more platforms, because I already see more and more people going, I got to get her on my channel. I got to get her on my channel. And like, this is just the beginning. And um, I have a tendency to ramble, just so you know. I'm going to try to, you know, reel it in. But to go back, I want to talk about your channel once again. We talked about that one video. You've got a lot of really amazing content on there. Before we wrap it up, and we'll talk a little bit longer, what are two or three of the other, or let's just start with maybe two of the other videos that you've got on your channel that have a great story, that are really special, that you would want to point people to when they go and visit you on your YouTube
Mm.
channel?
Oh my goodness.
I know that's going to be hard. They're all phenomenal. But like how many videos do you have on there right now?
I have to remember. I haven't like really looked back through my videos in a while, so I'll tell a little bit about some things as well. So I also have a podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify, which actually I took a break from this past 6 months. But on there I was posting consistently for 3 years, going really into each of these topics, really in depth. So my entire process of quantum healing. I spent a year talking about astrology, all these different, the womb healing as well, which has been a massive journey. So it's like a library on there, pretty much documenting also my my process and experiences, and I'm planning on starting that up again soon. So this is like an amazing I love that this aligned as well to kind of bring me back into the world of podcasting. So I would definitely mention that, and I will be posting those on YouTube as well. And another
I'm
video
gonna
that is
do
really special to me, is the first video that you see when you come onto my page, the Green Tower Mantra music video. So this was filmed in Oaxaca in Mexico, and it's my original song, Green Tower Mantra, which is pretty much a prayer to nature, to the divine feminine, the divine mother, to Green Tara, whose mantra Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha has been such a loving, calming, peaceful guide and friend to me throughout the years. So it's an ode also to the Sophia Code consciousness, the Sophia Christ consciousness activations. And that video is really special to me because we recorded it in this beautiful place in Oaxaca in the mountains, which was actually full of wild horses who were just living there and living freely and running. So we have some shots of the wild horses running around, and I got to pet one of them. And these are horses that like don't come into contact with people. They're just living their free lives. And so the whole energy of horses was just such a beautiful addition to that. And being there in the nature and the transmission of the intention behind that song, and that was transmitted as well in the music video, in our just celebration and maturation of the divine feminine consciousness coming back online. So I really would recommend checking that one out if you feel drawn and like to listen and you like mantra music as well. And so I'm really honored to share that. And I would say, go through and see, feel intuitively like which video calls to you on that particular moment on that particular day. I have some quite a few light language activation videos, things that will, are kind of instant healers as well. A good one is there's an auric cleansing video. So if you ever feel like you pick up energies from other people and being in spaces, if you're very empathetic and you feel like you picked up something, that one will really quickly help you just like wash it away. So it's a good tool to kind of have in your back pocket.
beautiful. Wow, what a great podcast. So I'm going to post also when we get off the call, if you could do me a favor, the gal that had that guitar playing in the background,
Hmm.
if I could get her information, because I'd like to give
Yeah.
credits to both of you.
Yeah.
It's so funny that when I heard that, I didn't even hear guitar music in the background, and I probably just need to listen to
Mm.
it again because the vocals were so just so amazing. I mean, I really, it's hard for me to put it in words. I'm not even going to try. I am going to
Mm.
say though that you are so wonderful to share that video with me. So after I post our interview, which has a few clips that kind of give people an intro, everybody will be able to get that with your information for your YouTube channel, with your email address, um, with your Spotify. I want to get into all those podcasts. I want to get that library out to people. And
Mm.
also, you mentioned just briefly that you do consulting. Do you do actual consulting with people?
Yes, I do. I do one-to-one sessions and I do long-term mentorship, so spiritual mentorship and guidance where we work together consistently for, pretty much at least 6 months and people's lives are changed irreversibly because I pretty much walk you through the process of awakening and hold your hand and answer all your questions and everything as it comes up and we meet consistently and go into new areas and work through your traumas from this lifetime, from other lifetimes, multidimensional activation. So I've seen really beautiful results with people. So I can put the link for that as well to book a. I do offer free intro calls. So anyone who's interested in working together in the coaching long term can, book a free 30-minute, 40-minute. We can just talk and feel into the process together and how it aligns. And I'm also hosting a free webinar on January 25th to teach some somatic and quantum healing practices for people so that you can also do this process on your own at home and have some practices and support to guide you through that.
It's like the more I ask, the more I learn, and it's like you've just got all these different things. So, do you have a
Yeah.
website then for booking the consultations?
Yes, yeah, I will send you the website link
Okay.
as
And
well.
then maybe for our upcoming calls, for the next calls that we do, we could also get into talking about the shamanism and some of these other subject matters that you really have great knowledge on. I know everybody's always into
Mm.
astrology. That's always a popular subject, and
Mm.
quantum physics. I mean, that's one that's infinity itself. It's like that's one that everybody is sort of getting to understand a little bit better. I think the knowledge on that is starting to get out, and people are starting to really resonate with that. This has been an amazing call. Like getting to know you at an introduction has just been absolutely phenomenal. Um, Before we sign off, I'd like to give you like the last last note to kind of say to everybody before we get into our next call. But before we go, what would you like to say to everybody watching the video today?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for connecting and being here and following this path. Because I know that it's not easy. I know that it's a really challenging one. It's a big one. It's a honorable path. And even when people on the outside may not understand exactly, or they're like, what are you talking about? Just know that there is a community here to tap into. There are so many beings who are paving this way, so many beings who have paved the way for thousands of years, and you're not alone, you're supported. So always just ask for that support and it will come. Ask for your guides to show you, ask for the spirit to guide you, and the answers will appear, the guidance will appear. And my main message always is to come home to your heart because from that heart space, that is the most comfortable, the most at home, the most where everything just makes sense. Like our mind can overcomplicate everything. And when we come back to our heart and to that essence of love and presence, it's like, oh, okay. Kind of makes sense here. I can see what we're doing here. So that's my reminder always. Come home to your heart.
Well, once again, thank you for everything you're doing to make this world a better place, a happier place, and a more peaceful and loving place. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off on the video. Stay with me here for just a second, and we will
Mm,
look forward to seeing you soon. Once again, everybody, the YouTube channel is down below. Visit Saule's channel, get a hold of her. If you need good quality drinking water, get information on that Kagan. It is an
yes.
amazing investment. You'll love it. And Soleil, once again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.